President, Co-President, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, it's such a pleasure to welcome all of you here. We are gathered here on the occasion of the 6th Assembly of the International Solar Alliance. The International Solar Alliance is a multilateral treaty-based organization which today has 116 member countries. Over the next few months, before the end of the year, we expect 4 more countries to join, which will take us to 120. And this tells you of the progression of the ISA membership. Together with the progression of the membership, the key issue is the alliance is about making solar as the energy source of choice in various countries. And being the energy source of choice means obviously that you have to advocate for it. And therefore we produce a large number of reports on the progress in energy technologies, in energy markets, in energy investments every year. We focus on the ease of doing solar for different countries so that investors know how easy it is. We also, to enable people to have confidence to invest in markets where money is not going right now, we have created last year a global solar facility with an insurance fund and a payment guarantee mechanism so that investors feel comfortable. The solar industry as a whole has pulled in record amounts of investment. Last year it was about $310 billion. This year it's expected to cross $380 billion. But the vast amount of the world did not receive 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5% of that amount. All of Africa, for example, received 3% of the 310 billion that was invested last year. This is why the payment guarantee mechanism and the insurance mechanism is aimed at enabling investment, but not only in large projects, in small projects. We are talking of mini solar plants, we are talking of solar mini grids, we are talking of rooftop solar, we are talking of solar rooftops, solar cold storages, and so on. At the same time, we also want that there are internal, national organizations that can enable this money to be used. We want to identify startups. In the past year, we have identified 20 startups in Africa. We are working with them on bootstrapping camps to help build up their capabilities in terms of enabling them to receive monies, equity investments. We are to help them develop technological partnerships, to help them in brand imaging. We would like some of these 20 to become the Amazons of tomorrow, providing solar products and services in Africa. And most of all, we are also focusing on the next challenge in solar, which is to use hydrogen as a carbon-free fuel where you can't use electricity. Green hydrogen is important for us. And we are therefore looking at sharing information that countries of the world are doing on hydrogen, providing the training that is needed for green hydrogen, trained professionals to come into the market, and for matchmaking of developers of green hydrogen with the suppliers of finance for green hydrogen. These are the kinds of issues that are there on the assembly as we meet now. But without further ado, let me introduce the President of the International Solar Alliance and then the Co-President, who are the ministers respectively from India and France respectively. And then I would request all the other ministers to briefly, for a minute or two, talk about their views on solar and how the Solar Alliance can help them. And we then look forward to your questions as well.
Ministers, Excellencies, friends for the media. The International Solar Alliance has emerged as a force for the good in this world. As the Director General informed you, We in fact already have 120 member countries. And there are also a number of member countries who have signed but who still have to ratify. So they will ratify it and become member countries. We have a large number of partner organizations. Most multilateral development banks are our partner organizations. So this emerged as a huge organization. And it has started delivering. Today, at the start of the assembly, we dedicated 4 projects which had come up in 4 different countries. Before this, we have completed 7 projects which have been dedicated. We will be completing about 12 projects again by December. So the organization has started developing. This organization has a salient sort of, there's a salient part, it has a salience. Hello? The reason for this salience is this, that there are about 733 million people in this world who do not have access to electricity. Now we in the International Solar Alliance believe that it is our mission to ensure access to these people and ensure access using renewable energy, using solar energy. In renewable energy, solar has the most potential, it's the best because it's available for a longer period of time, both in terms of seasons as well as in terms of number of hours per day. Today itself, when the 4 projects which were inaugurated, one was solarization of Parliament building, the other was solarization of health centers. We've solarized schools, health centers, Parliament buildings across different countries in Africa, mostly in Africa. What the International Solar Alliance has been doing is, it has been providing expertise, hand-holding, support. It provides training support. It has set up training centers in countries across Africa so that technicians can be trained. It has a program for viability gap funding so that projects which come up in the developing countries, viability gap funding is available. Today we decided, all of us, all the honorable ministers here, together we decided that we'll increase the viability gap funding from 10% to 35%. So this will enable more investments to flow into Africa. Today we also discussed how we can replicate what we have done in India in other countries, the regulatory mechanism, the techno-regulatory framework which we have put in place, which has enabled investments to come in India. We'll share that experience with all the countries so that a similar techno-regulatory framework, etc., can be replicated along with this, dispute resolution mechanisms and payment security mechanisms so that private investments can come. Because without private investments, by public investments alone, we cannot ensure universal access to electricity because no country has enough money to set up all the capacity which it needs. Private sector investment is essential. And we need to de-risk investment so that private investments can come. For de-risking that investment, the International Solar Alliance has set up a fund which will de-risk investments in these countries, in the developing countries. So that fund has components, as the Director General told you. It has an insurance component. So that insurance component ensures the project which is set up. It has a payment security mechanism component. So that whenever any generator generates electricity and supplies electricity, payment security is ensured. Now with these mechanisms, and also after putting these regulatory mechanisms in place, with these mechanisms we are certain that investments will start flowing into Africa, especially those countries which have problems of energy access to all their people. We expect green finance also to become available, and partner with us in the funds which we are setting up. And once that happens, once the green funds start flowing, as per the commitment made by the developed countries in COP21 about investments in green funds, once these green funds start becoming available at scale, we'll have projects, renewable energy projects being rolled out, solar energy projects being rolled out at scale throughout those countries which have problems of access to energy. You can't have any development without access to energy. So this is the key. And the International Solar Alliance has been formed to make it possible. We believe that climate action is just not going to happen unless we solve the problem of energy access. You can't have any energy transition unless and until you solve the problem of energy access. Access first and then transition, or access using green energy. That is our philosophy. So that unless you solve this problem, the climate action will not really work. And that is the problem which the International Solar Alliance is there to address. And this, as I said, this is an alliance in which all of us work together for the common good. This organization, I think, is one of the most critical organizations as we take on the challenge of global warming. Thank you. I expect all my colleagues, honorable ministers, to inform you of other decisions which we took. We also took decisions to strengthen the organization by adding more posts. And yet, yes, we also are of totally transparent organizations. All appointments are totally transparent by all member countries, etc. So we decided to strengthen the organization further. We'll have further deliberations in the afternoon. And we are moving forward. The International Solar Alliance has emerged as a force which will help the energy transition and energy access. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, Mr. Singh, ministers, I'd like to say that it was an honor to open and co-chair the 6th Assembly of the International Solar Alliance by your side. I want to thank India for taking the lead on the global call for renewables and especially for solar power. And Minister, we are thankful for your G20 presidency, which showed the adoption of a common goal to triple renewable energy capacity by 2030. Thank you very much. This is an ambitious project, and we are happy that your presidency achieved this goal. And we are going to push with you this goal together at COP28 in Dubai in a few weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, the solar revolution is already underway, and the creation of this alliance at COP21 in Paris in 2015, the initial challenge was different. The initial challenge was to lower the cost of solar and to stimulate investment. Today, solar has won this battle. Solar is cheaper than any fossil fuel alternative, and investments have increased massively. $1 billion per day is being spent on solar investments. So solar and renewable energy have also won a more political battle, if I can say, the narrative, because with the climate disasters that are more and more frequent, with the consequences of Russia's aggression against Ukraine, with the current situation in the Middle East, all of us realize that solar and the renewable energy sources are key building blocks of energy sovereignty, industrialization, and of course, global geopolitical stability. During the state visit of Prime Minister Modi in Paris in July, energy security was one of the main pillars of the Indo-French Partnership for the Planet that we launched So you understand that the question of energy is key. So regarding the solar energy, the question now is not anymore if solar will boom, we know this, but the next step is how and to the benefit of whom. And that is when the International Solar Alliance comes into play. As the Minister said, we are 116 member countries. We join forces to make sure that this solar revolution equally benefits all countries and all population. That is what we are trying to focus on as co-leaders of the International Solar Alliance. We focus on two obstacles. The first one is the access to finance for developing countries. We cannot accept that the same solar farm is 2 times cheaper to finance in the United States or in Europe than in Africa, where there is need but also potential. So France wants to incentivize governments and the private sector to invest in renewables and storage solutions. And I can say that my country is very proud to invest in the future of its partners. Since the alliance was launched, the French Development Agency has channeled 1.5 billion euros to solar projects worldwide. In 2022, France climate finance for its partner countries has reached a record high of 7.6 billion euros. So, and these are not just big figures, ladies and gentlemen. These are life-changing projects. We financed the largest solar plant in Africa, in Morocco. We financed the first ever solar plant in Tanzania. That means that I totally believe that we have responsibility, but also that we are a good partner. Our second priority is strengthening human capacity via technical assistance. The solar revolution needs trained people, needs engineers, technicians, training centers. How many times I visit many countries, and at the end of the story, the money are there, but there's not the absorption capacity because there are not human capacities. So for us, it's very important. That is the purpose of the ISA Star C program that France is proud to finance. So today I call on my fellow minister to expand the financing and scope of this program. So to sum up, ladies and gentlemen, France wants to build a people-centered and planet-centered international financial system. That is the goal of the Paris Pact for the People and Planet, now supported by almost 40 countries. It's very simple, if I can say. There are simple principles that are correct and fair. First of all, nobody, no country has to choose between investing to fight in poverty and investing to protect our planet. It's the same battle. The second one that for me is very important, it is that every country has their own national path. We have to respect each country's ownership, but at the same time, we should do it in a coordinated way. The third is that public money, yes, we have a lot of public money, but that's not enough if the private sector doesn't help us. So the third principle of the Paris Pact for the People and the Planet is that we need a shock, a public and private financial shock for the huge investment that will be needed to finance this agenda. So I'm convinced that the International Solar Alliance is a key organization to implement the Paris Pact. It's a key organization for the solar energy, and I look forward to keep working with all of you towards this goal. Merci.
My name is Philippe Tisha. I'm the Minister for Public Works and Energy from Fiji. And as mentioned, Fiji is an island country in the Pacific Islands, where energy is a very critical issue. And we'd like to acknowledge International Solar Alliance. We this morning commissioned and launched
Thank you. My name is Honorable Bradley Tovasia. I came all the way from the Solomon Islands. It's in the Pacific region, so close to Fiji. I think I've attended this and maybe the first time, so I want to thank the initial idea of the people of India and France for taking this lead. I think we go back to the beginning. This is the basic where we forget about it. When God created the earth, He created the solar light, and He said there was light and there was light. And so I think the basic is thank you, India and France for seeing fit to go back to the solar thing. Somalians is an island country as Fiji, and we've been separated by islands, and our 80% of people without the lighting. And so I'm privileged to hear and to see the presentation today. I was very quiet in all the discussions, but in me, I put to the International Solar Alliance, please have a chance to come to Somaliland and come and make some kind of evaluation. And we are fitting to meet this project. We are very welcome. Thank you very much.
Acknowledge and very much commend the leadership of ISA for this very important forum, and also it's not just a forum but very interactive and beneficial to most of us. My name is Edgar Moyo, and I'm the Energy and Power Development Minister from Zimbabwe. In our energy mix in Zimbabwe, solar contributes the lowest, and therefore that presents an opportunity for investment in that field. Coupled with our power supply and demand deficit, that presents any investor who so wishes to come and invest in the country. Actions on this platform so that our energy mix is raised particularly towards achieving green energy in the country. I thank you.
Matola, Minister of Energy from Malawi. Let me begin by quoting an African proverb, which says, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. This is the 6th Solar Alliance Conference, and indeed, we'll be moving forward. Why? Because solar has got no boundaries. When you look at other sources of energy supply chain, there are a lot of disruptions, sanctions, you name it. No matter how powerful that nation is, will never block the other state not to see the sun. So the sun will rise and the sun will set. And this is the only natural resources given by God. Whether we go into the Bible or the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in the Holy Quran, قُلْ أَرَأَيْتُمْ إِنْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكُمْ نَهَارَ سَرْمَدًا مَنْ إِلَهٌ غَيْرُ اللَّهِ يَأْتِيكُمْ بِلَيْلٍ تَسْكُنُونَ فِيهِ أَفَلَا تَشْكُرُونَ. It is only the Almighty God who controls the rise and the sunset. So there is no any powerful nation can block the other nation not to see the sun. And most of our countries are having the most radiant and they receive this sunlight, yet we don't utilize it. Indeed, let me echo the president of the Solar Alliance, International Solar Alliance, and the Director General and other speakers who have spoken before me, that energy is the gateway to the economy. And the energy, especially solar, when you look at the health sector, they receive a lot of funding, including the vaccines. But we end up disposing those vaccines because we don't have refrigerators in the rural areas. In the end, we do the campaign in order to vaccinate or to please the donors and have the vaccine campaign. Yet we are deforming our citizens. Education, we are talking about smart agriculture, everything. So energy, solar is a catalyst of everything. Doctors today, they do teach each other or give experience to each other through internet. Education, value addition of our crops, our produce, farm produce. Time has come that our forefathers were peasants and today would want to do smart agriculture. We need to move with energy. So, in brief, I can just say that time has come that we, as a nations and states, we should invest a lot in these renewable energies, especially solar, because it is a God-given natural resources which doesn't know any conflict. I thank you.
Thank you.
President of the Assembly, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Let me use the opportunity to say a few words about the energy resource potential of Ethiopia, and of course, finally say a few points about the ICA and the concept of Ethiopia in general, about the policy. Yes, energy is the most input parameter for any kind of growth and development. We cannot think of growth, economic growth, financial growth, industrialization, modernization, without having sufficient access to electricity. When I say sufficient access, mainly access to electricity and also access to chemical technologies. With regard to the potentials we have, if we consider, of course, the case of Ethiopia, we have almost all energy resource potential available in the world, including hydro, geothermal, wind, solar, green hydrogen, green ammonia, biomass. Even our power generation capacity so far is only 5.4 gigawatt, while the potential we have is more than 100 gigawatt, excluding green hydrogen and the biomass. Now, the question is, why a country with this huge renewable resource potential, its power generation capacity is far below average? It is because of the policy we have been following so far. The policy so far we have been following about the energy really used to allow private sector participation in the power generation, transmission and distribution. And the power we have generated so far, which is about 5.4 gigawatt, has only been coming from the hydropower. But we cannot rely on hydropower forever, as hydropower is highly susceptible for climate change. Therefore, one of our target areas, our priority areas as the energy sector of Ethiopia is to diversify our energy resources, to increase our energy mix from hydro to geothermal, wind, and the solar aspect. When it comes to solar energy potential, Our solar energy use potential is about 5.5 kilowatt hour per meter square per day, which means per each square kilometer of land, we can generate much power. However, investment has not been done so far very highly in Ethiopia. And therefore now we created a very good environment where private sector can come and involve because of the policy we have already revised. Therefore, in the coming time, we hope, and it's our ambition, to scale up the use of solar energy as we are one of the countries which have abundant renewable energy resource potential, including solar. Therefore, so far we have signed about 4 areas of interest with the International Alliance, and all of them are going in a very interesting and a very nice pace. And we hope some of the projects will finalize in the coming years, and the others will follow accordingly. Thank you so much.
First of all, it's my name, Minister of State for Energy in Uganda government. While solar energy is versatile, it's everywhere in Uganda. There are 2 major challenges that we face. One, increasing access to energy. To be able to do this, there are again 2 major things that we must address. One, technology to harness solar energy that is versatile in our country. We need to address the technology applications for harnessing solar energy. The second aspect is financing. As the President rightly said, we need to address through innovative finances the development of solar energy in our country to especially reach those hard areas and the poor population of our country. Unless these 2 are addressed timely, innovative financing and technology transfer, we shall still have a challenge in harnessing the expanse of solar energy that's available in our country. So I would wish to thank International Solar Alliance for inviting Uganda to participate in this, and we shall keep our commitment to the resolutions that have been made in this assembly. I would thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
My name is Karen James, and I am the Minister for Climate Resilience, Environment and Renewable Energy in Grenada. And I would like to start off by saying how privileged I am to be here to represent not only the country as a member country of the ISA, but as a young woman. I believe that our commitments and our input in this whole climate environment, and when we speak about the energy transition and the energy sector, has been underrated for so long. And I am happy to be sitting here to be voices of not only those in my country and in the Caribbean, but for young women and young men too around the world. So I thank ISA for inviting us and for being here. As a small island developing state in the Caribbean, Grenada recognizes the urgency and the need for us to transition to a more sustainable and climate resilient future. And our participation here in this assembly speaks volumes to that. Now, we are a tri-island state in the Eastern Caribbean. We comprise of mainland Grenada and Carriacou and Petit Martinique. We have a population of 124,000 and a peak electricity demand of 33 megawatts. So we are very small. For us, we want to prioritize a just energy transition in our country. We want to ensure that when we speak of that transition, we take into consideration the softer side of it. I've been going to so many meetings, attending conferences around the world, and to be quite honest, I've not really heard us. How do we as small island developing states make our mark, express our voices in these forums to ensure that when we accomplish our ambitious targets for the just energy transition, that we do not exacerbate inequalities that already exist in our countries. So for me, I would like to congratulate ISA for the tremendous job that they have been doing all around the world. I believe we have a great opportunity in the Caribbean to look into solar as one of the forms of renewable energy that can make us reach our target at a faster time. We have an ambitious target of making Grenada 100% renewable by 2030. Quite ambitious, but I believe that with the right and perfect energy mix, we can accomplish that. So I am happy to be here. I've already heard things that I know I will take back to my country, and they will be proud of ISA for doing thus far this morning. And I am anticipating what this agenda item today and for the rest of the week will do for us as small island developing states. We currently have a project ongoing in our country, one of our mainland islands, where we have a solar PV project. The total capacity of that project, once successfully implemented, would be 600 kilowatts. We want to expand the capacity of that plans for Carriacou and PT Martinique to make them 100% renewable in its first instance as a pilot project to see if we can replicate that in other constituencies in the country. So we have a great amount of agenda items awaiting us, and I believe that with our collective and collaborative efforts that we speak what we need to speak here today and for the rest of the week, but when we go back into our respective countries, it is key for us to implement what we commit to here. So thank you so very much.
It's my first visit to India and also the first time I attend an ISA meeting. I take this opportunity to thank ISA. I'm Flavien Joubert, the Minister for Agriculture, Climate and Environment in Seychelles. I take this opportunity to thank ISA for their support and the government of India also for recently supporting us in establishing a cold storage solution in Seychelles, a solar cold store, which would support the local farmers in marketing their produce. For Seychelles, solar represents the most promising source of renewable energy, given our geographic conditions, especially the fact that we are on the equator and wind is not always reliable, and we don't have any other significant renewable energy source. So for us, our energy transition depends a lot on solar, and I think a lot has been done on the ISA. We look forward to working with the organization and also partners within this network to actually come up with utility scale projects, but also other projects for the domestic and also the commercial sector that would help them in cutting down their emission and their energy use. So for us, it is a pleasure, for me it is a pleasure to be here, and I really appreciate the work that's being done by ISA, and I hope that we continue along those lines.
So we'll take questions for 5 minutes. Whenever you have a question, identify yourself, your organization, and keep your question very short.
It is open to all countries who are members of the United Nations. It's open to everyone. That is one. The second is, a lot of the manufacturing capacity, in fact, the major manufacturing capacity for solar cells modules from polysilicon upwards, the value chain, about 80% is located inside. That's true. But there are some capacities located outside. Now, this is as far as the manufacturing capacity is concerned. Now, the world has been talking about expanding the supply chains, about diversifying the supply chains. After COVID, the need for diversifying the supply chains became more apparent. And so all the countries around the world are now putting up manufacturing capacities. So we see the supply chains getting diversified.
I've been covering the ISA for many years now. So everybody here is excited.
Which newspaper?
So I work for a newspaper, Hummer. It's an English daily. It's an English daily, Hummer.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been working with different newspapers. So my question is, when people from Uganda and Grenada and all these people over here, they're excited. They say sun is the goddess gift, you know. So we are doing in the when we can have like solar refrigerator at the Pusa Institute. There was a solar refrigerator launched which could take care of the cold storage, like the gentleman expressed. So what is the situation there, sir?
In fact, one of the projects which was dedicated today, inaugurated today, was that solar cold storage. That cold storage keeps the temperature at 4 degrees centigrade, from 4 degrees to about 10 or 11 degrees centigrade. And that was inaugurated today. This is also part of it. Solar irrigation is a part of it. And of course, for a solar cold chain for vaccines is a part of it.
आज नई दिल्ली में अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सौर गठबंधन की छठी असेंबली का आयोजन भारत मंडपम में हुआ। इसकी अध्यक्षता भारत के विद्युत तथा नवीन एवं नवीकरणीय ऊर्जा मंत्री श्री R.K. सिंह ने इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस असेंबली के अध्यक्ष के रूप में की। इसमें लगभग 20 देशों के मंत्रियों और 116 सदस्यों के प्रतिनिधियों ने भाग लिया। इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस का एक ही विजन और मिशन है कि एक सूर्य, एक विश्व, एक ग्रिड को साकार करना। इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस के अध्यक्ष और केंद्रीय मंत्री ने असेंबली को संबोधित करते हुए कहा कि अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सौर गठबंधन सदस्य देशों के प्रति अपनी प्रतिबद्धता में दृढ़ है ताकि सौर ऊर्जा को पसंदीदा ऊर्जा स्रोत बनाया जाए।
We are small populations. Our electricity demand is 33, 50, 60 megawatts. So it's not that much. So definitely I would say we have to come together to collaborate more, pool procurement so that we have that economy of scale to advance on those targets.